Okay, so I'm going to start on another tumbler with 3 glitters. I'm going to use all LMNOP Design Boutique glitters for this one. I'm going to use Green Goblin, Shattered, which is an irregular cut, and Pink Punch. So I have a little bit of each of those in a cup right here. I'm going to go ahead and start by first applying a tiny bit of resin. To do that, I'm just going to pour a little bit on the bottom and spread it down. Really stretch it pretty thin. I just dipped my finger in to pick up a little bit more as needed. I am using chunkies, so I'm going to let it be a little bit thicker than I would be if I was doing a fine application. But I do want to make sure I have enough. I'm trying to figure out where my drying rack is. I know one's outside, but I don't see the one inside. Oh, I found it. All right. Because I'm going to need to be able to put this down in between colors. All right. So that's on there. I'm going to peel this glove off. And probably peel the second blue one off too. It's getting a drying rack here next to me. Alright. So I'm going to start with the Shattered, the white. Try not to let it travel too much onto the other colors when I turn the cup. Whoops. Let that roll across. Okay. So I'm going to just let that be for a minute. I'm going to slide that out of the way. Grab a fresh sheet of paper from over here. I think I'm going to do my green first. And I'm going to get that, oh, I didn't want to go that far over the edge. I just wanted it right up to the edge. And I did base color and coordinating colors, so I'm going to get a better coverage that way. I'm going to scoop that back up. I'm going to work down from the other white line instead of keep spinning over, because I really don't want it sticking too much into my pink space. But that's pretty good coverage. And I do have some green space on the bottom. I did try to split my bottom a little bit. And I am probably getting shards in this, so I'm not going to put this back in the bag. It'll probably end up being added to my dump cup. my dump jar, as the case may be. So, set that aside. Set this paper aside. Bring in a fresh sheet for the pink. And same thing, start along that white edge, overlapping a little bit to fill. And I know this is a little bright for a watermelon, but this is just going to be a super fun summery. I had several of these barrel tumblers left, and I was just trying to look for ways to use them other than whiskey barrels. Scoop that up. I got a little bit down the center I still have to get yet. And a little bit on the bottom. Make sure you get the rim too. Okay. So that is full coverage. Boy, she's bright. I'm going to scoop up some of this. Again, it'll be going in the dump cup because it is contaminated. I can see green in it. But I'm going to start the process of patting down the chunky. And hopefully I'll remember to come in and check on it again in a little bit, because I would prefer not to have to put 15 coats of resin over this. And do the shards with a different finger. Don't forget the bottom too, especially around the rim. But because I did the base coat colored, it'll be a little easier to have full coverage, even with the chunky. If it's separated a little bit, it'll be fine. All right, and I'm going to use my other hand to do the pink, so I don't get green stuck all over it. I'm okay if a couple pieces of the shattered wander, but I'd prefer not to have green all over this side. So, and I like to brush the rim off. So, get a different finger for this part. Try not to contaminate. You can see where I got shattered down that whole edge of my hand. But I do want to pat a little bit more in some spots. Like you can see when you turn it where it's laying up. If you look down the curve. And I also didn't wipe the green off yet, so that is that for this layer. I will let it spin until it is dry and then get a flood coat on it. But the start of a watermelon. Okay, so I'm ready to get a coat on this. I did not spray seal it or anything, so I'm going to try and keep one section at a time as I work. So if anything is loose, hopefully it doesn't contaminate. So I think I'm going to bring it to the pink side first and stop it. And pour some resin on. I did get it laying down pretty well, so hopefully it's not too bad. I moved one piece so far, so that's not bad. Now I've got two. And don't forget my bottom and the rim. So I'm really not too bad. I'll go up the white. And the white is probably the thickest part. Because that was an irregular cut. I'll grab a wipe real quick. I don't want to switch gloves in between color. I just want to make sure I have no glitter on. Okay. Turn it back to the green side up. And the green is laying pretty well as well, so. I mixed up 30 mLs and I'm probably going to use every bit of that on this layer. Just because it being a chunky, it's going to settle in more around the glitters. You can see where there's still some standing up. If they don't lay on their own, I will sand them down. But this will probably get one more coat before I get to any type of sanding. So I'm just getting the bottom where the green is. And that is it. I'm going to get it spinning. And I will be back for the next step. Okay, so this is where I'm at with the watermelon tumbler. It's currently sanded, so it looks pretty rough. It'll shine back up when it gets some resin on it, but I want to add some darker green lines to the rind part. So I have a green alcohol ink. This one's evergreen. Hopefully it's going to be dark enough. And I'm just pouring some out on a sheet here. And I am just going to draw the lines on. And I'll probably go over them a couple times to darken them up. Ink is translucent, so because this isn't super shiny to begin with, it's going to be a little bit harder to tell how visible these are going to be, but hopefully they'll be a little darker than the glitter. They should be, especially after I go over them a couple of times, just to give it a little more visual interest. That's all I'm going for. But you can see where when it gets wet again, that glitter shines right back up. Once the resin's back on, the whole thing's going to shine back up like that. Just going to keep going over them a couple of times until I feel like they might be dark enough. And I'm going to dip down onto the bottom. Bringing the lines in towards the center. Okay. So I think they're dark enough, but whoa. I just need a little bit of alcohol. Sorry, I just needed a little rag and a little bit of alcohol. Just misting onto this rag. Because I feel like this was too much through here. So I'm just going to come back in and bring some of it back a little bit. It's just easier to use the mister than to pour out of a big bottle. But clean up any spots you think you need to clean up. And when I wipe next to it and shine up, you can see the color contrast a little bit better. Hopefully this will be ready for decals after one more coat, because I don't want this to end up too thick or too heavy, but we'll see. I didn't want to keep sanding and risk getting into the color of the glitter, so I'm going to let this sit a few minutes, and I'm going to get some resin mixed up, and I will get this on a turner and get some resin on it, and you can see how it shines back up. Okay, I'm ready to get a coat of resin on this. I mixed up some Chaos Resin Liquid Stone for this coat. I don't want a super heavy coat, but I don't want a light coat either, because I want it to fill in the rest of the spots that need filling, except for the bottom. I don't think is going to be done after this one. I need to I need to get something smaller in there to sand the bottom. So I will sand the bottom, just the bottom, hopefully, after this coat. The pink was pretty smooth to begin with, so I should be able to get decals on it after this coat, because the decals are going on the pink. It'll be seeds and some kind of saying. I haven't decided which yet. I have a couple sayings in mind, and I'll have to see what I work up and what I like, but we'll see. So, well, that is it for now. Progress on the watermelon. And I will be back when I'm ready for decal. Okay, so here is the watermelon tumbler. It is ready for decal. I have a little decal here that just says Sweet Summertime. I'm going to try and get, I gotta scoot this down a little bit, sorry. Try and get somewhat centered. Okay, and then I have a whole bunch of seeds cut. I'm just going to start placing around. Random. Grab another strip of them. I'm just going to look and see, maybe just one or two more. I printed off or cut a ton. I didn't print them, I cut them, but so grab a couple more. So I think that's plenty. I think that's cute. I'm going to call that complete. I'm going to get it on the turner, get a coat of resin over it, and I will bring you down for a close-up because that's as much as you need to see. Even if it needs another coat after that, it's just going to be another clear coat. So I will be back in a few. All right, here is the watermelon completed. It's so stinking cute. There's that Sweet Summertime, little seeds, the rind. I'm going to come around one more time. And beautiful. So that is it for this one.